Hello, after I shot the last video, the 6.0 tutorial, I was going to move on to 5.5, but I decided that at this level, from 6.0 and lower, it's best to do as many examples as I can, so I will try to squeeze in another half dozen books or so for this video. It's never hurt to have as many examples of 6.0 as possible, because there are such a wide range of flaws in these books. Okay, first up, this book, All Star Comics 58, First Power Girl. You see this light to moderate amount of wear on the spine. Okay, nothing big. Okay, the big problem is the small spot of stain right there, and then this is some kind of like abrasion right here, as you can see, like a small tape pull that lost a little of the cover, and then there's a marker or stain of some sort right there, which isn't bad. Okay, but then when you look at the edge, okay, there's like a slight problem at the edge like that. Okay, nothing big, and in the corner, soft corners. Okay, and what make it a solid 6 in my book is, if you look at the back cover, there's plenty of minor bends and light creases. Okay, and then you have a penny size stain right there. You see that right there, dime size, I would say. So the accumulation of the flaws of the front and the back make this a solid 6.0 in my book. I use this term quite often as far as grading books of all grades, from solid to strong to a weak. I mentioned this before in another video, but to me, when you hear something like a strong 6.0, that means that there's a chance that that could be a 6.5. A solid 6.0 is just what it is, a solid 6.0, and then a weak 6.0 is something that may fall to 5.5. So right there you have a solid 6.0. Next up, okay, this is a gorgeous copy. As you can see, look at that. Not one problem, right? Small flaws at the spine. The back covers, I assure you, is just stunning gorgeous. Look at that. So why is this a 6.0? There you go. The staple is pop. Okay, so in my book, a pop staple on the cover gave it a 6.0 max. So I give a 6.0 max, but I give this book what I call a 6.0, a strong 6.0, because, you know, maybe because the rest of this book is so beautiful and so flawless that it can be higher than a 6.0. But for me, you know, I'm confident, I'm comfortable, you know, calling this a 6.0 and selling it as a 6.0 if I was to sell something similar to this. But CGC might give it a higher grade. Okay, next up. This book, as you can see, has some major bend there at the spine. Okay, the worst part is right there. There's a nickel size water stain moisture right there that causes a ripple. Okay, so right there, coupled with those big flaws, and then the same thing in the back. Okay, a big size dent right there on the spine, as well as the rest of the book. There's a lot of ripples, dent. See right there. to make this, in my opinion, a solid 6.0. Next, I have a lot of mid-grades Marvel reprints, that's for sure. As you can see, this one, once again, you have a moderate amount of wear at the spine. The corner is actually pretty decent, right? Small ding at the corner, right there. There's about an inch crease right there. Right there, you have another inch long crease. Let's take a look at the back. As in many books in this grade range, there are lots of dents and light creases on the back cover. Okay, and then this one actually have a fairly long one. Let me, as you can see, it's not a crease, okay, but halfway through the book, all the way to the top, there's a long, 4 or 5 inches of light creases. So right there, a solid 6.0. This is a kind of book that, if it was a valuable key, perhaps having a press and a back cover would remove just about all the problem here, and then this book can be even a 7.0. okay, but for now it is in this condition a 6.0. Next, beautiful, extremely glossy book. Okay, right there you can see some dents on the cover. The spine have a lot of dents, okay, big one, you can see. Nothing that can't be fixed with a press, okay, but as is in this condition. On top of that, okay, there you go, there's some stain that bleed through the cover. And then on the back, you have some more creases and dents. As you can see, it's a lot of them. Whenever you have books like this, okay, where the back is showing a lot of thumbprints, indentations, all that stuff, it's hard to give this book higher than a 6.0, okay, but many of these little problems can be pressed out. So, but as is, a solid 6.0, okay, solid. If not, this one might even fall into the category of a strong 6.0, okay, because the stain is actually pretty small. And these things are, they look bad, okay, but they don't break the color. They just, the ripple can be fixed. Here's one that I think is really hard to grade. First, you get the crease there, and then some light indentation. The toughest part for this book is, as you can see, the red is not all that red, and the black, as you can see, there's a lot of color rubs, okay, on the black area. Then there's light creases on the top edge, okay. And then you hold this book to the light, you can see that a fair amount of dents and creases at the spine. Nothing major, okay, but it's there, they are there. And then the worst part is, of course, the color loss up and down the spine in the black area, as well as the red. Not sure what causes that. Could be just, poor storage, that this book was not in a bag for many years, if not decades, so maybe it was rubbing against another book, and that's the result. And then on the back you have what I would call distribution spray, okay. On super high grade books in a 9.0 range and higher, this may affect the grades of the book, but at this mid-grades level, this is not an issue. It may not look pretty, okay, but it's not something that would knock the grades down. And the rest of the book, not bad, right? There's some imperfection here and there, right there, you can see. Not bad compared to many other books that I've shown so far in this video. This book has less indentations and ripples on the cover, but I ding it hardest because of the color loss at the spine, as you can see. Okay.